because you do see the bit of the regular, maybe Tokyo, the rest of Hanamura there, what it looks like if you did go down there as a map. Then I realized that's just downtown Busan, but here on Hanamura, GrandXur defending first, Xavier attacking first, Patty Pan on Symmetra. Looks like it's real, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to teleport.
Oh, baby, but they all just get smacked away from
Not all of them.
Few that went through it find themselves up a tree without a ladder here. Queen will not be able to make it through that one. Those that are on the point, though, already capping out 2/3 here. Where are GrandXur? Finally pulling back onto this point like, oh, wait, that's where they are.
And Pappy was actually on half HP. Queen's going to come back as a Hammond, but as he does that, 2 more members fall. Yeah, it's probably going to be it for the push. I will be honest in saying 2 ticks for that, I'll take it.
I'd call that a success, actually, given that you can now change things up, knowing what GrandXur are running. They're in a pretty good spot here.
And Patamon's thinking, I'm on 67% here. I could probably just wait for the ult. I mean, the photon barrier here could be pretty useful. Then jump off the hero as you approach on the B. It's not all bad for Xavier.
I am digging this idea. GrandXur had to get aggressive this time if they want to stop it. Now they're just waiting for cooldowns. Maybe a window for Patapan. Here he goes.
Yeah, and this is where GrandXur got to go in. They can't wait too long, otherwise the teleports will be in. There's actually juking. They're going in and out.
Oh, there we go. They lost the teleporter and Patapan himself, so there's a point where this is going to stop working for Xavier. I would like to see them actually change things up here before they get too far behind.
I was going to say now is probably when it stops working, because Patapan didn't additionally charge the salt, so I mean, he's on 80%, but realistically, he'd like to be on 100 going into this next push, especially since Hamzy has the EMP. I mean, this is just going to get shut down. The EMP can just come in any moment.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate. Patapan does get picked off here. And again, only a little bit closer to the ultimate. If this is going to take them a lot of lost fights to finally charge that up, then that is not really great.
I do have to say, though, as he just approached the 100, he was placing down some of those Symmetra turrets which were helping him farm up to that 100. Going on to the Widowmaker now is still just a little slow. He's got to wait for Peck, so Xavier, they're going to have to play somewhat patient now, and both Hamzy and Charm can easily contest Patapan.
At any rate, this EMP is going to be pretty devastating. Lands on the whole crew.
Oh, nice headshot.
Nice catch by Patapan, but they are still going to lose a few too many members to keep the fight going. Charm looking to close out on Tay, does find them. Pretty nicely done here.
Sick execution from Charm. They just knew the distance onto the punch, straight into the uppercut, and then the hand cannons on the left side for Xavier just still stuck here. It seems like they got the 2 ticks in the initial push. Then for the rest of the 2 minutes, nothing's really happened for them. Meanwhile, 4 ults still available for GrandXur, still super comfortable in this position. Unless Patapan gets a large string of kills or at least some sort of player advantage, Xavier just twiddling the thumbs.
And there it goes. Now it's just rotating through these other ultimates here. This time the Nano Boost. They get the sound barrier out of Tay and the Nano Boost out of Thitacorn. And still just trying to find an angle in, looking for a shot onto maybe Hugo. Ducks for cover. This is an opportunity now for Xavier. They've actually absorbed most of GrandXur's ultimates.
The important ones as well, but Xavier's still got to push. They still got to grab here.
They need to be able to connect it. Silvercoin throws out a self-destruct, but loses his life while he's out of mech. Hugo not able to save him there, unfortunately. They weren't able to get any kills out of that self-destruct either, so now GrandXur in a 6 versus 5, not in their favor. Xavier, they don't even need to use ultimates here. Playing smart, playing conservative, catching these kills. Oh man, this is bad. 2 very late deaths on GrandXur.
And now we're threatening a double cap here. Patapan's going to stay on to the Widowmaker, going to play a pseudo-soldier kind of role. Set it back there and frag. Meanwhile, Xavier going to try and push. They only have the Primal Razor, so I'm not too sure if the ultimates are good enough.
Just looking for angles on respawn, has actually spotted out Hamzy there on the high ground. Does need a respect dive on Charm, but Charm gets headshot out. Nicely shot by Patapan. Now GrandXur really on the back foot on this defense. They throw out the Nano Boost. Great shot onto Papillon. Patapan, classic rope-a-dope play onto Hamzy, who's now kind of out alone on the bottom point of this. And that's the cap out. No one able to get onto it from GrandXur.
That's a double cap, a nice double cap from Xavier as well for what was a very long approach onto A. They managed to cap out within 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 56 seconds overall. So, I mean, the first point, 40 seconds remaining, so about, what is that, 3 minutes and 20 seconds they took. They only need another like 30-ish seconds, 34 seconds to get from A to B and finish capping there. Huge plays, nice shots from Patapan. He got 2 kills, including a headshot to Charm. But a lot of that came down to the setup. I mean, very late kills from Xavier onto GrandXur as they were moving from A to B. Because they had 2 ticks down already, they didn't have to wait for all 3. They just needed 1 tick, then immediately go on to B. This is one of the few key moments of going from A to B that's very unique. If you have 2 ticks, you can double cap very easily.
What now? GrandXur, they need to cap out. It's going to be hard to find a comparable time here going in for a potential time bank. But look, it is possible. They at the very least do need to push the time bank.
They certainly do, and they need some decent time on there as well. They don't want to have less than 1 minute because otherwise a draw will be the best thing they can hope for, and that's not what you want to have going into a map 4 scenario. So for GrandXur right now, you'd expect hopefully a good A offense. If they get it in one attempt, they'll probably have around 7 minutes, at least 6 minutes to get onto B. And with that, maybe if they get into the next 2 to 3 minutes, they'll have a comparable time in terms of time bank.
If they do get a more successful point A attack, then they do actually have a decent shot here, because that's one thing you have to consider. Xavier, despite the early success, took quite a long time to get the final third.
Yeah, and it really just came down to the double cap from Xavier. That's where they got most of their time. So GrandXur, they may have to do it in the more conventional way. That being said, Xavier want to take an early fight here. Look at the positioning.
GrandXur, though, they've kind of scouted this one out adequately, so Xavier actually just had to back up.
Hamzy, oh, he might have been spotted there. Very tricky.
Yeah, took a shot, translocates for safety. Now, see if Charm and Malin can find a way in here.
This is really good adaptation. Charm onto the fire means they can safely counter out the Xavier. Ryan goes, but it does take some time. This is not going to be a quick offense.
And there's going to be the movement in from Charm, goes out with the concussive burst, blast rather, so that he can get the angle on the backside of Xavier. But Xavier just kind of ignore him, push forward, take the 65 on the ground. Well, 6v4 even when you consider that Malin went over through with Charm. That's a pretty clean fight win from Xavier.
And that's exactly well played by Xavier because they see the opportunity. Charm and Malin are going very far away from the rest of the team. And so GrandXur, they only have 4 of the members on the ground. Xavier say, we'll take the odds there. 6v4 is absolutely ideal. Charm is not really doing that much. He's on 93%, but there's no kills.
Now Charm, and again Malin. And so Xavier going to make the same move here. This time it's actually, yeah, this might be a bit more difficult because they were able to get a few more members through. Nice rocket barrage finds Thetacorn, and Xavier takes some real pain from it. This is where GrandXur could start to collapse. Charm does get a bit low, but he stays alive crucially. And now GrandXur at the upper hand.
An MVP going to Silvercoin there, who also flies into his own fire to get the defense matrix for protection here. A couple of late kills against Xavier Esports. This should be a cap. I don't expect Queen to be able to do too much here.
And it was just getting that one extra person through. Getting Papillon meant that suddenly Xavier couldn't make that same move, couldn't just take a 6 versus 4-3 or however many it could be on the grounds. If they did that, they would get collapsed upon. So nice adaptation by GrandXur to set that up.
And they still do get the 6 minutes despite not having a 1 attempt onto A. The issue here is because they are going to make some swaps here. Charm, Hamzy, Malin all going to swap on new heroes. GrandXur don't get an opportunity to snowball through onto B. They can't double cap immediately, and for Xavier, they still have ults as well, so even if GrandXur stayed on the composition, it wouldn't really be that good.
Nice setup on the high ground here from Xavier. GrandXur, though, they do kind of brawl their way through the first bit. In fact, losing Thetacorn as Xavier retreat is a bit of a tough break. Oh, Earthshatter completely missed as Papillon went sky high. Hamzy does go down to the self-destruct, but they've got enough kills here in a lead that GrandXur in a pretty decent spot. Just looking to get a few more out. Have got that first third out. Good bump back, just trying to keep pressure on the point itself. They need to get the kills. This Bastion is going to start to chip away at these members if it goes unaddressed, and it has indeed gone unaddressed. Now gets the kill onto Papillon. GrandXur will have to back away.
Breathe a sigh of relief there as well. GrandXur already got 1 tick though, and probably a push where you don't expect them to get any progress. You'll probably take that kind of progress right now, especially because there's under 5 minutes. If they can get another tick in the next minute and a half and then finish off in the last minute and a half, they'll still have some time remaining for this time bank, but they need to start charging now because they're waiting for stuff like Gravitons and Earthshatters and Papillon and Hamzy starting on 0.
That's going to be the really tough thing. This is a team comp that's going to take time to get going, but they want to get this done as quickly as possible because Xavier have so much in their time bank. So, getting aggressive, double charge in, nothing hits anything, just smacking into walls.
And it is going to be high ground control for GrandXur. That's going to be something, but they're playing Ryan Goat, so they can't really take advantage of that.
Earthshatter out from Queen. This time it does connect. Papillon does get out, but he's not going to last much longer. That's a pretty clean hold from Xavier.
And they had the ults there to play with. They had the Earthshatter from Queen. This time it probably does a little bit more. And for Xavier as well, now get to go into Olivier's Graviton Surge pretty soon if he can maintain his current trajectory with Ultimate Charge. For GrandXur, you're still looking at a while away from the big ultimates. Hugo and Marlon probably going to be the next ones up, but those are support ultimates to keep you alive. They need pressure to kill. They need to find picks. That's how they're going to actually cap.
Xavier don't have much to play with here. They will have the grab coming up. GrandXur have a window if they can get it early.
Olivier.
Charging charm like that. Nicely handled, but honestly, Olivier, too quick in with that grab. Easy clean up there. GrandXur find nothing.
And this is because they're going to get a full cleanup here. All members are going to go down. They get to charge everyone else's ults up. Queen back to 60%. Patty Pan nearly on to that full self-destruct. And he's actually playing D.Va now. So early in the night when we say Ilios had a question there, can he go into the D.Va? The answer right now is a yes.
Kind of makes that situation a bit stranger in retrospect, but maybe we'll address that in another time in a future podcast. Now, how will GrandXur choose to approach this? They are close to some key ultimates.
Yeah, but they need Hamzy and Papillon to do the majority of the damage here, not die too early.
This time they bait out the charge from Queen. There's going to be the Earth Shatter. Oh, the Earth Shatter is just too gorgeous. Self-destruct is huge from Pat to Pat. That's all she wrote for that one. GrandXur still only slightly closer to those ultimates that they've been waiting on.
Well, they're starting to get there now because Hamzy does have his. Papillon's about to have his as well. The bigger issue here is both support ultimates were used. The good news is right now you don't exactly need them because there isn't a shadow on Queen's side. There isn't a grab yet for Olivier, so nothing huge to counter out from the Xavier side. This has to be the push for GrandXur. They got to get some distance here. They probably have to get the last 2 ticks in this push because I don't know if they're going to have this advantage again.
Getting right onto the point. GrandXur changing their angle of approach. They only get Patapan in that one. The grab gets all the rest, but the kills haven't come through. Finally there, they get them on the board. So they start to put the damage in. Papillon gets the hammer, swinging about, finding out Olivier as well now. This is GrandXur looking poised to get the second, third, if not the full cap. Xavier, they're going to be trying to barrel onto this one with a Wrecking Ball and co.
Oh, they're not going to make it on time. That really sucks because THK was actually there. Just too high into the air. Olivier came back with the grab. If they had somebody contesting, maybe the grab starts to turn things around. There's a lot of HP on the Wrecking Ball as well. If it's not even possible, they should be able to get a lot more time. The time is very important. You can see the 1:48 time back here. That could be 1 minute. That could be less than 1 minute. That would have been the stall factor, which is still very, very valuable for Xavier. But they're not going to get that. They'll have to be happy with 4:04 versus 1:48, which is still more than double what GrandXur have, and it's definitely going to put Xavier in position to be able to win here.
And that's the real difference maker, you got to say, is the time bank. Look, props to GrandXur, they secured it, they managed to get a time bank situation, but the times are not comparable. Xavier have a lot more to work with. In fact, 4:04 is technically more than what you would usually have on a point A offense to work with. And all they need to do here is just burn down the clock for GrandXur.
Now here we sort of get into a scenario where you do have a team with a lot less time and you have a team with a lot more time. For the team with a lot less, which is GrandXur right now, if they can just get a few ticks here, maybe secure A, and it did take them a reasonable amount of time, 2 full minutes to get A last time. They don't even have 2 minutes this time around, so there is a world where they just don't get this cap out. So if they get any sort of distance, they will have some sort of a defendable point when they themselves defend A. That's important.
I don't know if anyone remembers Alpha Bastion, where he had a front-facing shield. He couldn't rotate 360 degrees, though, so I guess, you know, even trade.
And he also had a weird mine ultimate that got patched out.
He's had a lot of ultimates. Now he's just got a left click, and it deals a lot of damage. I mean, he's got more than that, but
his ultimate makes him left click even harder. And right now, GrandXur just trying to find this approach, going to get halted out.
Oh, nice, but Malin able to stay alive.
A sliver of HP nearly went down there, luckily didn't. Having 6 remaining now lets them rotate around, and Xavier, because they are running a Bastion, they have to try and find out which way the rotation is going to come from. They've got to be on the point now.
They were aiming at the high grounds, and GrandXur moved along the low grounds. Now Xavier are not on the point. GrandXur, they've set themselves up. It's actually hard for this Bastion to get on the point. That's the trade-off you make here. Just trying to siege onto it while they send some members forward to contest. But the catch silver coin in among all of that. Papillon super low here, needs to be careful to not get outflanked. Hugo gets found out. There's going to be the flank on Papillon at long last, and Xavier have managed to hold on. Just shy of a third there is GrandXur.
And the problem is GrandXur didn't even get 1 tick, just a little bit shy. And another thing you have to consider is once they got into the point, what was the game plan? Did they think they were just going to be able to out-frag? Did they think they were going to be able to just get that tick? They still need to deal with Patty Pan. They still need to charge onto him, get him down. You can't just passively sit on the point while Patty Pan rains down bullets.
Now we can just do the same thing again, lay some bullets on them on the approach. This time GrandXur do not have time to take some hurt, then heal up and reassess. They've just got to get aggressive on Patty Pan, taking a low ground push, but here comes the tank bomb, throwing in those big, huge shots. Finds 2 already, and GrandXur not even going to get so much as a third on this point. As soon as Papillon drops, the gong will ring out. In fact, I think he's already long since turned tail and run. They're going to let him live, call it a zoo. And now only needing to cap a third here is Xavier to push themselves to match point.
And that's a big disappointment for GrandXur on their approach because they didn't get any distance, so close to 1/3. If they at least had that 1/3, it just becomes a lot more defendable. Now, it's going to be 1/3 for the defense anyway, but they would have had a little bit more than that, just a little bit more runway to have something happen, some miracle, because 404, like you said, is technically 4 seconds more time than you would normally get on an attack approach for an A push. And for GrandXur, it has to be perfect. All 4 minutes has to be absolutely perfect here. For Xavier, the good news for GrandXur from the Xavier, from what we saw from Xavier on their initial attack was it did take them a long time. But what was bad news is on their first push, they got 2 ticks.
And that's the thing, because of that, it's looking like Xavier are considering doing the same thing again. GrandXur, though, if they're smart about this, they'll anticipate that, knowing that, hey, look, this is what it got Xavier last time. They're liable to just give it a go again to try and sneak out that 1/3.
And by the way, I wonder if this is just because of the fact that it was We Are Eternal Gaming who used Symmetra assault strats against Xavier. Now Xavier's like, you know what, we can do that too if they are. But we also did see We Are Eternal Gaming attempt to do it again on Horizon, had been punished quite hard by Nova Esports. Can GrandXur punish them now? GrandXur should be expecting this.
That's the thing, it looks like it's not really a pocket strat anymore. It's only going to work the once, and it might not work fully at that. But if it just works this one last time, Xavier win themselves.
Look at this positioning. GrandXur are ready for this. As soon as Xavier want to teleport, GrandXur are in position to counter. Well, they should be.
There we go. Getting themselves set up. There's the teleport, though. They've still managed to get mostly through. And suddenly it's GrandXur having to pull back and try and attack Xavier. Already a lot of progress. Finally the contest coming in as Papillon and Silver Coin are low. Charm gets caught up in a charge. Queen low but doesn't die. It's Silver Coin in trouble. It's Papillon going to follow him down. And that third is almost sure to go over. Queen was the only casualty there. And Olivier just starting to clean up house. Throwing down another teleporter just for funsies as Patapan just bumping in back and through it, and now does get environmental killed, but they've got the members on the point. They will get the tick, they will secure Hanamura, and they will take us to match point.
Yep, and that was a much better win for them as well. They get the 2 in a row now, and it seems like after Ilios, they've just been a lot more prepared. I mean, Numbani was certainly more in their favor this time around. We did go to a time bank, so you got to say at least for GrandXur, Hanamura was at least competitive because look, the time bank was not. I mean, there was quite a disparity there, more than double the amount of time for Xavier Esports compared to GrandXur, but both teams made it to the time bank, and I think that's something that's still worthwhile going into map number 4. It just still feels like GrandXur have an opportunity to come back because the pieces are there for them to be able to make that happen.
It does feel, though, like the peaks for Xavier are higher than what they are for GrandXur right now. And that's the thing that you've really got to consider. The peaks for Xavier were, you know, the almost full hold on Numbani. The peaks for Xavier were the exceptional snowball from point A to point B on Hanamura there, even though the point A took a little bit longer to cap than was really comfortable. And I feel like if that's the difference maker, then that's okay for Xavier, because it's everything beyond that, the consistency that you can work on as time goes by. Securing the 2-0 in your scoreline at this point after week 2 would be so important for them. It gives them that breathing room where they're not panicking and not really at risk of dropping out of the top 4.
Yeah, it certainly does seem that way. You do favor them going to map 4 to complete the 3-1 in the series. But if you look on Ilios again, where GrandXur did find success, and I want to remind everyone that even on Lighthouse was a mirror, and I think that's one of the more telling points, is when you can beat a team in a mirror, that is kind of like a no excuses scenario. It's not like, oh, we got unlucky, or like, oh, we got out-comped or something like that. It was
almost mirror. It was the Ryan Winston, so it's a little asymmetric.
Okay, well, it's basically, we were nearly there. We did also have Queen eventually. We did also have eventually No, well, Queen went into the Hammond, so I guess he never really quite mirrored the Winston. But the point being, it was goats versus goats, and you have a sort of scenario where that being the only variable, everything else you sort of put together, it was probably one of the more telling kind of matches where GrandXur were able to just outpace Xavier, and that's the kind of game style, that's the kind of game plan going to Route 66 that if GrandXur want to take a map here and push us to map 5, this is kind of what they need to tap back into. Find the successes where you had on Ruins and also Lighthouse of Well, and that's probably how, sorry, the Lighthouse of Ilios is probably where GrandXur can find their success.
Route 66, though, a map that's starting to become very familiar to us. If we're seeing
No Dorado.
Exactly. You know, we're seeing a lot more Hollywood than we're seeing Numbani. We're seeing a lot more Hanamura than we're seeing Horizon Lunar Colony, and seeing a lot more Route 66 than we are Dorado. So very clear what these teams are favoring, and by golly, am I glad we're going back to Route 66.
Jesse McCree.
Good.
You said you right.
Good to see you, Ash. I don't know the rest.
I don't know the rest of the lines either.
That's who we got.
It's not even the right Jesse McCree. It's like, I don't know. It's the,
Yeah.
what is it? The boat? I can't remember the name of the skin.
Oh, the Gambler?
Yeah, well, Gambler's
Gambler and Riverboat.
Riverboat. That was like, I was like Steamboat, Love Boat. It's definitely not Love Boat.
It's because you could gamble on riverboats.
Ah.
Yeah, if they pulled away, I can't remember exactly how it was that the law was written, but it was something like you couldn't actually you couldn't arrest people on a boat. I don't know.
Well, we're getting into the map.
Woo! The fight's already out. Challenger's already dead.
Olivier's on half right now, and Hamsy's trying to run back.
Batafan's found one as well in Marlin, and this is a good start for Xavier. Oh, another one.
Great headshots. That ended very quick. I know we only saw like half of it, but wow, that seemed very quick from Xavier. And GrandXur now just already trying to regroup here. They don't want to take too long. They need to be able to stop this cut, hopefully by the time we get around that next corner. I mean, this is further than Ash actually made it in the cinematic, so you give them that.
I just remembered that actually McCree's line there is I've been busy.
Oh, right, yeah.
Kind of mucked that one up. Can we do a reshoot? Anyway, Xavier just looking to keep this momentum going. Want to sit back for a bit with Patapan, who does nearly have the Emperor sight. Good shots onto Hamzy, keeps him low, finds the second one, and it's a headshot to boot.
Oh my goodness.
As well. Look at Patapan go! Oh, Patapan would have made it. Been a while. Looking for another one now. Doesn't quite get the
Point
close-up
blank,
headshot.
too hard.
But, oh, well, they keep the momentum going. That's what counts.
And you know what? He watched the stream last night. He said, look, Kefri's playing some Widow. I'm going to play some Widow too.
Show him how it's done.
I'm going to play everything. I play flex tanks, main tanks, DPSs.
Off tanks.
The only thing we haven't seen him on is support.
Tanks.
Okay. Well,
why did we ever say anything about Patapan?
Well, it was Hamzy was waiting for him. He had the pre-scope probably.
That was pretty great. Charm actually finding Queen there is a pretty nice beginning of a defense here for GrandXur. Just kind of slows down Xavier's play.
It certainly does, and now Xavier still have 5 ults going on to 6. And actually, one thing that's quite important here is the additional armor and HP. Great shots, by the way, help a lot. Look at that, 260 going up to 300 in the Widowmaker Jules. This extra 100 HP is huge.
Oh, baby. And now Patapan finds another one and another one. Look at this guy go. Can he find Papillon? Yes, he can. That's 4 headshots for Patapan in the fight.
5 ultimates available for GrandXur, but no chance to use them if you're down. Nice little wave there from Patapan as well. Nice, really getting some Kefri vibes from yesterday. Can't wait to see that match if it ever happens.
Shade tag right there. Shade spray.
Oh, right. Yeah, see. Just a little bit of shade from the gold fuel. That's right, they had a tough season.
Well, GrandXur having a tough break right now as well. As Patapan has anything to say about it. Nearly found the shot on the hands, but not quite. Transcendence from Hugo. They finally get to use some of these ultimates, and Olivier will not remech. ZHK taking a stun. He's going to be 5 for the time being, thanks to the sound barrier. Haven't really got the trade kill. Finally, Patapan finishes off Hamzy with the Venom Mine. This is an opportunity for Xavier to maybe regress in this fight.
One of those rare kill feeds you see, Widowmaker Mine versus another Widowmaker for Xavier now, pushing forward. Waiting to see if they can find some opportunity. GrandXur is just on the retreat. Yeah,
that was Marlon low, but it's actually Papillon who goes down, and now as they're able to get aggressive and clean up the rest of these kills, Xavier just looking very cool, calm, and collected here.
They have certainly rights to be. They've now got a bunch of other ults online, pushing through now. Olivier takes down Hamzy. And it seems like GrandXur just don't have a good round of defense here. And now we go already on to C, 4 minutes 25 remaining. Xavier managed to get both A and B within 4 minutes.
Now, how many headshots will Patapan get? My money's on 3. It's the real question.
How many of them will be kills?
Ooh, yeah, it's that. Well, I'd say headshots on the kill feed. That's what I'll say it as.
Okay.
So far, he's got none. Ooh, that's a body shot. Got me all excited for a second.
We do need to just wait for respawns. Queen is now back up alive, and both infra sites are about to dissipate here, so no more vision. Oh, Hugo nearly lost his head.
With nearly a bit dangerous. That's because Hamzy's infra site did expire that little bit sooner. Now Hamzy's sitting back, laying down the shots.
Charm.
Match Patapan. Charm does go down to the dive from Olivier, and now Silver Coin around the side, a little bit surrounded. Gonna get popped out of the mech and gonna die pretty soon after. Xavier just making space for themselves. Look at how far forward Queen is.
This is honestly surprising because look at GrandXur, they have 5 ultimates now, using 2 of them, and they're being pushed back so consistently. If they just commit, which they are doing now, they should be able to win this fight.
And that was the thing, overextension from Queen gets punished. Papillon pops the Primal, goes forward, finds Patapan. Now they're cleaning up a few more, and Xavier are finally getting punished for how aggressive they're playing.
And this is what GrandXur need to do. They need to speed up the game to really pressure Patapan out, who's now changing onto the McCree for the final section of the map. And for GrandXur as well, because they had the ultimate advantage, they had no reason to be playing defensive. The only reason they were backing up was because they were giving too much respect to Patapan onto the Widow. Now they don't have to do that. Now Hamzy can maybe just out-snipe Patapan, because Patapan is no longer sniping.
Well, he is still long-range hit scan though, so there's that
damage
chance.
is not comparable though.
It's not quite the same. There's still that chance. Self-destruct board.
Can't flashbang him, man.
Flashbang, yeah, he's like, hey, stop. But that doesn't work that way. Finds Charm though, but oh, actually, hold on. They have kept relatively even. Xavier do have a shot here, but with Patapan isolated, he is going to go down here for too long. Doesn't take one with him, and Xavier are going to have to back away.
Flashbang into the Matrix as well. Silver Coin just really putting Patapan onto the ropes, and Hamzy looking like he maybe wants to change here. Sees no reason to continue playing this sniper duel when there's no other sniper. Isn't really finding picks onto Patapan anyway. Playing the Ryan Goat's a little bit more consistent here.
Now, Xavier just looking to get onto this last little bit. Malin early with the sound barrier. Tay answers with his own. Olivier will get back in that mech. Xavier in an okay position, but a little bit dry for ultimates is GrandXur as finally it starts to tip the balance. The Deadeye is well laid on top of the Earth Shatter. Might not have been necessary, but it's still a gong to ring out, and Xavier still moving towards the cap.
And you're at the sort of stage now where GrandXur, if they can get off fast enough, maybe they can contest, because there's no ults on anybody.
I mean, you'd certainly think so. Patapan goes to check the other spawn gate. Maybe goes a bit too far forward. It's going to be fine. GrandXur, though, they need to get the kills to make this one stick. Papillon goes down. They're surrounded. Despite the lack of ultimates, Xavier just out-fragging with ease. Suddenly it's Hugo alone, just transcending on the point. Xavier going to finish the cap with plenty of time to spare.
That's the thing, Xavier had no ultimates, but technically neither did GrandXur up until the end. Silvercoin dies on 98. If he just had 2 more %, he can self-destruct, maybe remake something. Hugo comes in with Transcendence. His team's already dead. If the self-destruct is there and they buy enough time, get the remake in there, the Transcendence saves a few more members, that's a much more successful defense, even if all it does is shave some more time off the clock. There was only 1:18 left. Another 18 seconds, that's 1 minute. You just keep decreasing that until there's just less and less and less. So for GrandXur, what could have been, unfortunately, is not.
Now, GrandXur have the work cut out for them once again. They must match for that time bank. It's going to be a tough ask. Xavier on the defense. I mean, Patapan gets a similar run of kills.
Let's be clear about something, though. We did just see the Talon series versus Lynx TH, and in that, Talon had basically one of the most flawless offenses across all 3 points. They basically had very few slowdowns. They only got about 2 minutes 19 to memory. Yeah. This is a slightly less dominant attack, and it's 1:18. So you just sort of really get to feel for how difficult it actually is, again, to just finish Route 66. That would say to me that unless GrandXur have a decent showing on A and B, it's actually quite unlikely for them to finish the map at all.
That's the thing, Xavier. Even if they can just keep slowing GrandXur down, it makes it less and less likely that GrandXur can cap.
We'll see if Patapan just has another highlight reel, because all of B was him just getting a string of kills time and time again.
Absolutely sick. Scouting Hanzo Arrow, they do know that Xavier aren't setting up anything spicy in those rail cars.
Oh, Hamzy knows. Yeah, he wants to challenge us. He says, I got your number.
Yeah, and Chum scouted that one out as well. They know what's up.
And it's just interesting to me that he would go for this Widowmaker duel over just playing dive and pressuring Patty Pan out. And this is the problem. Now you go for the 50-50. It's a coin flip.
I wouldn't call it a 50-50 when it's Patty Pan. I'd almost call it a 60-40 at
Then
worst.
even better reason to not go for the duel.
Exactly.
Even better reason to try and go for the dive instead. Play faster. Pressure Patty Pan out. Don't flip your silver coin.
I got that reference.
Thank you.
Thanks, Captain America.
Wow, that was very aggressive from the Diva there. Patapan just looking around the side, didn't quite find the angle on Hugo. Now just going to go down the front ways, looking for the shots out.
Oh, again, just stop now.
Hamzy. Yeah, Hamzy really ought to change here.
This is the kind of time now where you've actually already lost a minute. You don't have ults on your members. Technically, there's no ults on Xavier either, because these fights don't last long enough. Even on the retreat, Marlon goes down, slowing down this reset even more for GrandXur. Hamzy is now going to be on the Zarya. Now onto the Sombra. Actually, I prefer the Sombra because this allows them to contest Patty Pan a lot better. I'm not too sure about the Tracer. Again, THK is there. You have to respect the Brigitte.
It's been 3 kills so far in this game, and Patapan is credited with all of them. Would you believe? Now just looking for an angle around the side. Ooh, nearly found Charm's Tracer. Has to be careful here, needs to respect.
Backups here.
Yeah, there they are. Finally, someone that isn't Patapan gets a kill. It's on Hugo. THK looking to try and stun out Charm. Doesn't find it. GrandXur, they keep just losing one member, then backing up.
And by the way Xavier playing this is fantastic. Kill confirmed from Patty Pan. Collect that dog tag later. And for Xavier, because they keep pushing up quite far forward, it doesn't allow GrandXur to try and get on the back line against Patty Pan. It means GrandXur are constantly on the back foot, defending as Xavier in their faces. What they can do now is, if Xavier push up again, GrandXur can then commit Charm and Hamzy to the back line, get Patty Pan out while disengaging, then clean up the 6v5.
Patapan lays down a couple of shots down the rail car, and pulls back, goes back and fight. Hamzy gets found out by Olivier. And
Charm's doing nothing.
Again. Xavier, they're just keeping the pressure on here. GrandXur barely getting anywhere. It feels like they're just banging their heads against the wall at this point. One of them keeps getting picked off. Finally, they have traded one back. They've actually found a second. What was that about Charm doing nothing? He does go down, but with the respawns coming in, GrandXur have an opening.
I'm glad he did, because now Patty Pan down, GrandXur should be pushing forward. They do have respawn advantage while Charm's back in, nearly pulse bomb.
I like that aggressive move by Xavier, though, to try and preempt that respawn, maybe get a couple of kills, but because they didn't fight it, now GrandXur at full fighting force, Xavier were only just about to regroup. You see Queen only just getting back to the team with Olivier already dead. Ooh, nice stumbling kill on Charm. Suddenly things aren't going to be as clean as they could have been for GrandXur. Hamzy gets shot out as he channeled the EMP. Patapan does get traded off, but Xavier, they've got the ultimates to back this one up as Queen's still in the fight, hasn't even popped the Primal Rage yet.
Marlon doesn't ult. No one's going to ult here. They're all just going to save ultimates. You kind of do respect that because it was a 6v4 essentially, but at the same time, look, you're about the 30-second mark. Now, GrandXur, it just goes so wrong. Charm gets comboed out. This is why playing Trace into Brigitte is so tough. Hamzy commits the EMP, instantly gets shut down, and then if you're Marlon and Hugo, what are you meant to do? Do you play the support ults into a 4v6? It's so hard.
And what's Hamzy even going to do here? I mean, the Empressite can spot him out. Thittercorn's got a Transcendence. Tay's got a Sound Barrier. There's no way Hamzy will get a kill on the backline. He's a fair ways away from an EMP. Just preemptive self-destruct. Oh, what are you kidding me?
This might be it. I think this might be fight over.
Yeah, with that little amount of time, yeah, still waiting for those respawns. One of them being a tank, one of them being a healer. No Transcendence available because of that. Hugo, by the time he gets there, he will have no allies left on the card. And it's such a heartbreaking way for it to end for GrandXur. Just able to get nothing. A veritable shutout from Xavier, having a grand time on Route 66. They'll take all the donuts.
This is, you know, I'm going to be honest there, this is definitely the most dominant Widowmaker performance we've seen of the season so far. We don't see a lot of Widowmaker. Well, yeah, look, Kifri only played one. I guess this is one map of, but I don't know. We didn't see, GE Pantheon played Root and they kept Spanik in there for, I don't know, they still won. It doesn't matter. That's not this match though.
Let's talk about
this match. This match in particular, GrandXur, they took the bait. I feel like, you know, hook, line, and sinker right out there. It's Patty Pan saying, come and duel me. Just do it. Come and duel me. Hamzy's like, all right, I will. And they spent about a minute and a half trying to get that to happen. By the time they realized it wasn't going to happen, too much time was gone. too much ult charge was missed out on because guess who's winning the fights? It's not GrandXur. It's all on Xavier that are charging those up. And by the time GrandXur say, okay, we're going to change onto Zarya, time to play Goats, trying to change onto Sombra or whatever, trying to play something else, you're too far behind, you don't have enough time. And I also want to add, even if GrandXur finished the A cap into overtime, which is where it ended at, you don't have enough time to finish the whole map. If you spend 4 minutes on A, when you have a team like Xavier that within 4 minutes got A and B, you're far too behind the mark.
Despite how Ilios ultimately fell, which I do feel, like you said, wake-up call is a good term there, because Xavier did try some strange things out. And what was bizarre was it felt like Patapam was kind of stuck, not being able to play a diva, which he then actually played later on. So I'm not sure what happened there for Xavier.
I believe he was confident in the Doomfist working.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately,
and
it didn't pay
it
off.
just didn't happen.
And the thing is, the unfortunate part of that is it feels, having seen the rest of this series, like it could have been a 4-0 for Xavier. And if it had have been a 4-0, they'd actually be at the top of the standings with no tie.
I will say,
instead, they're tied for first.
I will say he did change on to the Hammond a little bit later in that, and they got 99 to 99.
Nearly. But not quite.
But the problem there is, obviously, they had to climb back from a bit of a hole that they dug. The bigger problem for me is, again, I go back to Lighthouse, which was the more even matchup, and that one, again, was just super telling.
The fact that it was a shutout.
The super telling of the fact that GrandXur shut them out, looked a lot more convincing. That really handed Ilios over. You could say, look, Ruins, ODA picked up a bad composition, bit of a boo-boo, go on to the next map. You did win well previously to that. Go on to Lighthouse. What excuses do you have? I don't think they have any excuses for Lighthouse. That was just a super well-deserved win for GrandXur, which is why I don't see it as potentially, oh, this could have been or should have been a 4-0. I think GrandXur just well and truly deserved to win Ilios.
No, I think the excuse is Goats ate my homework. Don't know what else they can really fall back on. But like I said, it is a shame to not get the 4-0 when you feel like it would have been achievable in retrospect. But you'll still take tight for first. And I'll be honest, I feel like that's going to be the common theme throughout this group.